Yeah, it's over here for the weather world.
The 40th.
And
Yeah.
so a week later for the 100-year celebration of the co-op.
Oh yeah, that was pretty the co-op site. Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It's the gardener there.
Yeah, it's your last week.
It's almost did it last week,
Yeah.
but I'm off today. I got a chance to.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, my coworker called me last week. Day. I can work the afternoon, but actually I love it.
Yeah.
Not gratitude, but need to do.
What's your favorite shift over there? You like working the days?
I have to work my. But I got.
I interned down at the Sterling office over the summer. I like doing evenings. I don't know. It's nice little sleep in a little bit. I didn't mind working into the evenings.
The main thing with the evening is you do stuff before work.
Yeah.
Whether it's exercise. Or.
Yeah, it's nice. You go to the store and there's no one there. It's gonna break down.
Yeah. The easiest way to get to the map.
Yeah, if you click on Chrome there.
Yeah.
On the bottom.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then up here, you'll have your e-wall. You could just click the X there on that tab. Yeah, so e-wall's there. That's what you want, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and then you can go get your slides. If you just hit present there at the bottom. That little like, yeah, that should bring you to full screen there. And maybe just click here to start. Yeah. And I'll let you know when we're ready, just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Are we? No, I could just give you the suck at that. No, but I need to get. Or you. Well, I have both in my house, so we can get together. Or at least. Mine. We go get another one. No, it's in there, I think, my NWS.
There's one that very. That's you. There's like napkins. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna tell you, I started actually getting some color schemes going and everything. It took me forever to realize that I didn't want to to change that. Yeah, it's cool. We're working on masters too right now.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
It's awesome.
That's really cool. All right, you all set?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, good morning, everyone. We'll do a cloudy Monday out there. Happy to have David Martin here today from NWS State College. Yeah, let's take it away whenever you're ready.
I'm Dave Martin. I used to work in the Binghamton, New York office from January 1987 when I got my master's at NC State. Came down here in June 93 when we set the office up here. And I got my degree from SUNY Oswego. So I've been working here since then. Big question that everybody's asking is what will the winter weather be like? Not last winter, about a couple of years ago, it was common to get ice here in Lake Erie. Lake Ontario would normally don't freeze and you get, northwest flow with a lot of stratus Q coming off the lakes or gravity clouds down here. So the last couple of years, the winter has been pretty warm. Last January, after we had the big snow squall incident in Buffalo, New York, I'm from Rochester, New York. Buffalo had upwards of, way above normal snowfall by Christmas, 100 some inches. Or nearby Rochester, where I'm from, had maybe a foot total. We had less than what we had back in the, December timeframes. We had started last winter off mid-November with 3 to 6 inches of wet, heavy snow here, which is very difficult to drive on. So January, after the big squalls in Buffalo, we became very warm. Third warmest for Williamsport, almost 10 degrees above normal. Second warmest for Harrisburg, 9 degrees above normal. It's very little snowfall across central PA. The only Januaries that were really warmer were in 1932 and 1950. And as of the end of January, my hometown, Rochester, New York, least snowfall on record for that up-to-date period from 1944. February was still above normal by over 5 degrees. Not a lot of snow. A trace of snowfall for Harrisburg. What was interesting, it was very dry. Harrisburg had less than an inch of rain. This is the top driest, basically, should say February, the top driest for Harrisburg. Williamsport was a little bit better, but still below 2 inches. And by the end of the month, we were issuing fire weather forecasts, even what you call spot forecasts, which are specified geographic areas for prescribed burns or wildfires. So by end of February, especially south of the Interstate 80 area, we had issued fire weather forecasts quite often for specialized fires. Normally, I don't worry about fires before later in March. March was still quite warm, a little bit dry yet. Started to see more snow across the Ridge Valley areas of central PA. We did issue a statement, special weather statement at the end of the month for snow squalls. Prior to that, we didn't really have much prior to the start of the year. We had some in November. A year ago in March, we had a squalls over on the end of the month, we had them bad squalls across the state. So it seems like late March, you can get them in even early April. April was warm again, 5th warmest for Williamsport. Middletown tied for the 2nd warmest. No major severe weather outbreaks, some scattered throughout the month. Rainfall is very dry again, very high risk of fires. And most of the rain occurred at the end of the month, especially over towards Lewisburg, over the Bloomsburg. Not so much back here. Because it had been dry, we didn't get much river flooding or creek flooding that end of the month. We came close to having some river flooding. Been the trend the last couple of years in May, things are colder than normal. This is so dry this year along the cold weather in May. We didn't have any severe weather for our area. I don't think it was any for the state. We issued a winter weather advisory early May for snow, a couple inches of snow. I don't think we've ever done that before. Very low rainfall in May, and one of the driest on record for Harrisburg. The 1960s were dry, 1970s, especially 1964, about a couple of years in the 1800s were very dry, 1877. Had many cool nights, brought the mean temperature below normal for the month, about 2 degrees below normal. So after a warm winter, early spring, we got colder than normal. June started off dry, but became pretty wet and stormy by mid-month. That continued into July. Let's see here. Temperatures are 2 degrees below normal for the month. All the heat in the early part of the month was the first couple of days. Otherwise, June was not particularly warm. I worked the first big severe weather event on June 3rd. We had northwest flow with elongated cells producing very large hail over Susquehanna Valley of Pennsylvania, east of here. You know, did a lot of damage to cars and stuff. July was another active month for heavy rain, severe weather. Not a big pile of major outbreaks, but just constant severe weather every few days. Managed to be a little bit warmer than normal. Not much heat. Later in the month, we had a couple warm days. That was going to be it to early September. 10.5 inches of rain at Williamsport. That's the wettest, one of the wettest on record. The record was just under 12 inches set in 2018. And you have to go back a ways to get really wet years. Agnes, 1972, made the summer wet. Well, that was concentrated in June, the remains of Hurricane Agnes. Some of the 1800s, late 1800s are kind of wet too. Over 3 inches of rain fell on Saturday, July 15th. That's a daily record for Williamsport, and one of the heaviest ever recorded for 24 hours in the month of July. We had one a couple of years ago in July, is similar. And I worked July 20th. I issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Warren County in Northwest PA. We had very large hail, between 2 and 3 inch diameter hail, some of the biggest we've seen. August, half the days, you know, had thunder in July. August wasn't much better. Half the days you had measurable rainfall. Generally cooler than normal, cloudy month overall. And Middletown is actually below normal rainfall. Williamsport was still above normal. It seemed like the rainfall for the summer was forming near Lewisburg or east of here and training up across northeast PA, where the southern part of the state and Virginia and Maryland was very dry. Very large number of tornadoes. 8.61 inches of rain made Williamsport again be the third highest for the month. Yeah, I go back in 1912 or the beginning of the Dust Bowl to be a bit wetter. So where the 1930s were dry, you can see some years were kind of wet. September started off really hot as we started back to class. Even with a cool end to the month, the temperature for the month was above normal. Some severe weather and heavy rain at times. Rainfall for September was very different between Northwest PA and Southeast PA. Upstate New York, where I'm from, is very dry, remains that way too this past weekend, and even the rain they had over the weekend was next to nothing up there. So Southeast PA was wet on the other hand. rainfall for September here. The wet areas are basically in the southeast here. Gives different maps of percentages of normal. So Northwest PA generally very dry in September, 3 inches below normal, upwards of 3 inches below normal, where southeast part of the state was the opposite. That trend continues for the most part from what I can see. A heavy rain event sees the state should back up. The end of September, we had a flooding event Friday, the end of in New York City, Manhattan, lower Hudson Valley, the New York metro area, and then northern New Jersey, very heavy rainfall, upwards of 9 inches. So that goes along with this September rainfall. And we did it again just the other weekend. We had 2 inches of rainfall, a very small band. I was working the evening shift from Lewisburg, northeast across eastern Lycoming County and Sullivan County into upstate New York. Again, it's the same area week after week beginning to rain. This is the percent of normal rainfall ending October 9th. There's that strip I'm talking about. Started near Lewisburg, just kept going. Storms move up northeast. Another storm would form behind it. This here is some lake effect behind the upper level trough the other weekend. And that's, going back, looking at the rainfall covered the New York City, Long Island, lower Hudson Valley area. So extremely heavy rain out there, not too far away, southeast PA, not particularly wet. That little strip there, then the lake effect. So my thinking for heavy rain is if you have a strong upper level ridge, surface ridge to the east and southeast, and especially with the southeast Florida area, low levels, just east of State College and eastward, combine that with high dew points, you gotta kind of be suspicious of getting a heavy rain set up. You can have a cold front moving in here, have radar echoes coming in from the west, and may actually fall apart like this event we just had the other weekend, the other night fall apart and reform near Lewisburg. High resolution models such as her do really good, but may not be quite in the right spot or heavy enough for the rainfall. So start seeing southeast winds to the east of here, even if the cold front is falling apart. If you have some type of wind shift boundary, be suspicious of getting heavy rain. I do have the maps on the table here you can look at afterwards for the New York City heavy rain event in late September. Just surface pattern leading up to the event. Again, a couple of days before that didn't look like a whole lot of anything. Last winter we had basically La Nina. Usually cycles through every couple of years, starts up in November, dies off in April, but La Nina just held on for a couple of years, 3 years. El Nino kind of right now with the water near equator is kind of warm. And last time this combination occurred was in the mid-70s, 1976, 1977. And the winters are 76, 77, 78, 77, 78 were some of the more severe winters on record for cold weather, lake effect, and cyclogenesis. So my coworker thinks this winter is going to be kind of rough. That was January 26, 1978. Deep low over the Great Lakes area. Set sea level record pressure, record low pressures. Buffalo was basically ordered to shut down everything that day. My hometown, the private forecasters, along with the weather service, kind of told people stay home. Storm kind of veered to the northeast away from the lake. So Rochester didn't quite get the extreme conditions Buffalo saw. It was only a few miles from missing the blizzard conditions. Similar to what we saw last December. Last December was maybe a little more extreme with the wind speeds up there. A lot of people were killed in both events. Basically running off the road in the drifts freezing to death. CPC outlook for temperatures. With El Nino suggests the northern tier would be warmer than normal. You look at the 30 to 90-day outlooks, New England seems to have a slight tendency to be warmer than normal. And I would suggest that as long as that's the case, this current weather pattern where we get the heavy rain might continue to be an issue up in New England along the coast here. So for the same time, through January 2004, basically November, December, January, Climate Protection Center saying a higher chance than normal from about Philadelphia southward to be wetter than normal, but Pacific Northwest is forecast to be drier than normal. Currently, we're getting quite a bit of rainfall, so we'll see if this forecast gets modified in the next few weeks. I'm going to go to the electronic wall and show some charts for the upcoming week here. Current satellite shows the system that came through during the game off the coast, northerly flow all the way down to the Gulf Coast. These are 850 temperatures. Basically northwest flow temperatures over Quebec or
Can you
plus.
just interrupt for a second? Sorry, the screen share went down.
Yeah, okay.
If you can just go back here.
This one here.
Yeah, and then just click that green button.
Hmm.
Try one more time. And then just hit share right there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Quebec, over Quebec temperature is about +2 at 850. Rather cold air, but not extremely cold. This current radar lake effect would be in northwest flow. This is more cyclonic flow. As the day goes on, we warm up, we'll see more stratic Q out there and probably some showers. Not quite as widespread down here right now, but they're forming up wind here, so not really good for lake effect off Ontario because it's too northerly, but the cyclonic flow will kind of compensate for that today and even into Tuesday here. These are change maps from recent times. Not a lot of change from yesterday. Where it seems to be quite a bit colder than recent days is in the southeast states. All the cold air has been pushed down south. Should mention there was a lot of tornadoes in Florida back on Thursday. Kind of a little bit not the right time of year for a big outbreak down there, but they did have some. Just bear with me here. Now we're looking at GFS here. Again, large scale ridging over the western US. Basically, these are the 850 temperatures, streamlines, and jet is off the coast here, large scale trough. Yeah, large scale ridging over the western US, also some ridging across central Canada. The cold air has been pushed well to the south here. So for today and tomorrow, looking at a lot of strata Q going forward in time. Basically, looking at getting into Tuesday here. Actually, let's see here. Further out in time, this shows that still got a lot of cold air coming down across the southeast. Trying to get to midweek. If you want to take a day off this week or any week lately, it's been better to take off Wednesdays. Weekends not been coming out as good. So this is temperatures Wednesday. High starting to move off the coast. You got high pressure just southeast over New England. Not showing much of the way of weather. Basically, you got a little bit of a system here digging down into the central US. Still got northwest flow here. We get out towards Thursday, system coming into the Great Lakes, cut off low here. Some moisture out to the west here. So Thursday still looks dry here. Get more towards weekend. Big question mark for the weekend is we're looking at game is out, out in Ohio, but we still have to wonder about the weekend because you got this large scale ridging for the west, you got a trough digging down into the lakes area, ridging out here. Again, you got this ridge off the coast here, and the high pressure again is up over the northern Atlantic, so you can get southeast return flow as well as southwest flow, digging trough, moisture moving in towards the end of the week here. If it was just a simple front, maybe things would move out here pretty quick. Some of the models like the European have been trying to basically move, cut things off here. GFS kind of trough goes negative tilt here by the first part of the weekend. Low forming over western southwest Virginia, North Carolina, and lifts northward towards Harrisburg. So maybe Ohio won't be that bad, but definitely looking kind of wet here. Ohio gets back on the west side there, maybe other some strata Q and lake effect won't be that bad. So again, it's the same pattern where the ridge, the trough is cutting off again, getting another deep low that we've been getting. You can go way out then as you get much further out in time, maybe out towards the end of the month here, the west southwest flow. So that would warm us up again. So as you head out towards the end of the month, Halloween, November, temperatures actually probably be above normal again. So not looking at any cold weather anytime soon. Frost potential, freeze potential this week. Not looking at upper 30s by the coldest I can see this week. Sea level temperatures, as I said, the Gulf of Mexico, Atlantic's been very warm. Been some tropical storms, hurricanes, a lot of this deep low stuff. So overall, we're still pretty warm across the Gulf of Mexico, off the Carolina coast. What's interesting is when you start going from really warm water to colder waters, from me, up to the north here and extends over to Ireland, England, Scotland. So, well, the hurricane season's winding down. We still got a lot of warm water out in the Caribbean and the Gulf. So cooling off, but we have to see how that plays out. Any questions, comments? That's about all I got. Yes,
You mentioned that the setup to this year is similar to that of, you said 76, 77, 77, 78. What happened during those winters here?
we had a lot of cyclogenesis, a lot of deep coastal storms, very cold air, a lot of lake effect. So,
Do you happen to recall if it actually snowed in State College, or was that stuff farther, because I don't know.
I'm not sure. I would suspect it had to be at least normal, if not above normal.
Yeah, I think it was decent.
So one of the tougher winters since I came here was the 93, 94 winter was actually pretty brutal, 20 below in some areas that January. Snowed, major storms. 96 was another big one. Blizzard 96. So I think that year is probably a little bit higher in snow than the 70s here. But definitely different than what we've been seeing.
When you said similarity, do you mean that's the last time we had an El Nino following 3 consecutive La Nina winters?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, anything else?
I'm kind of curious, what would it take for us to not have every weekend, we just completely wash?
Yeah, right.
What happened last fall and winter, we started getting cool downs every Friday. And the miserable weather was, cool down Friday, have snow or rain, then warm up. This year it seems to be lately weekends start off wet, cool down, get windy on Sunday, then by Wednesday and Thursday you're in good shape. Like a 7-day cycle, whether it was last fall or currently, every 7 days you get something coming from the system.
So I hear a lot of people talking about analogs for this winter as being, for a very, very strong winter. And then I see the CPC forecast, and the CPC forecast is kind of hinting at maybe a warmer, drier winter. Is there anything that you can think of that why they differ so much? Or is it?
I think what CPC is looking at is the El Nino, where you have a southern, the jets a little bit further south. And the question is, we're on the edge of the gradient. And, are we going to get wetter? You could argue it's going to be maybe a much tougher winter for Harrisburg, Philly, DC, because they had nothing last winter for the most part. And maybe Northwest PA gets a lot less lake effect. Not they had that much last year away from Buffalo. We're in between. You maybe be on the west side of town to get, something totally different than, let's say, out towards Zion, Belmont, even Pleasant Gap. I mean, that's what shows up in the rainfall for September. It was about from here east that things kind of get going. Another storm that was interesting, I think it was October 2017, where the miles are hinting at like half a foot of rain through here. Storms came in from the west that October date and stalled, and we had like 7 inches of rain in Milesburg area. A really warm, sunny afternoon. So you can go from nothing to a high end event in maybe 10-20 miles. Anything else? Yes.
I'm actually curious, maybe you don't know the answer, but I actually do live in Northeast PA, and I'm wondering if so, and especially in August time frame, a lot of the rain, a lot of the storm trapped in the northeast part of the state and going going north and like in parts of central PA, have there been any years that have been prominent for that, or just not commonality as much during the summer?
I think 2018, August, July and August, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's terrain.
Yeah, it
terrain
was.
influences.
It was like over after over again, and I noticed too, a lot, especially in August, a lot of the rain happened overnight as well.
Yeah, I think what happens, you start, losing the cold front runs into the ridge and you start getting a southeast wind at night.
Yeah.
Even if it's weak, it seems to be different than, let's say, back in May when all the time the wind was from the north and it's dry. Couldn't get any rain back in May. And when I drove down Tennessee in September, once you get down towards the Potomac River Basin, it was totally different. It was just grass was dead. Then you get further south, it's green again. And upstate New York, I was just up there for my high school reunion. It's dry. It's not rained up there hardly at all. They got very little rain over the weekend. Not in a quarter inch. The color wise, the colors all the way up and down are about the same pockets of color. Better colors I hear from Southwest PA down through Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's drier.
Thank you.
Yeah, question.
Anything else?
Thank you, David. Thank you.
You want-
Yeah, you can just close that of all that.
No.
It's harder.